So, I mean, why, where did you grow up? Why did you choose Carroll? I guess is the first question before we kind of go
Right.
into all the other things that you've been able to accomplish.
So I grew up in Drexel Hill and I also grew up in West Philly. So we lived in West Philly from like grades 0 to 5 for me. And
Yeah.
then we moved to Drexel Hill and I went to DH middle school.
Hmm.
And I had already gone to Catholic school. All of my friends were going to Derby or they were going to Cardinal O'Hara. And I was like, man, I want a fresh start. Like I want to
Yeah.
go somewhere that's different. And I played basketball at the time, and Carroll and O'Hara, big rivalry.
Still is.
Prindy was also down the street, as you know,
Yeah.
right there off of Lansdowne Ave. But I was like,
Mhm.
I don't want to go to an all girls school. Not really the feel for me.
Yeah.
But Carroll was just, I mean, for me, it was like the best fit, right? It had academics and it had the basketball, and I was like, dude, that's a win-win. And just knowing the standard for Carroll, right? Like, I've talked to a lot of my friends now as adults. It's like some of their high schools wasn't about sports or they weren't about academics, and we were about both. And so
Right.
for me, I was like, I should be able to get in anywhere, at least academically, or at least be able to get some sort of scholarship for basketball, or get the exposure that I'm looking for. So Carroll's perfect for me. I'm glad I made the choice.
Yeah. So you played basketball at Carroll. Did you play after Carroll too?
Yeah, so I played at Weidner. I played for
Right.
the Weidner basketball team. We won the MAC championship, I believe, my sophomore year, which was pretty cool. And then obviously, playing at Carroll, the standard was to win championships. So,
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
the
Yeah.
that's the bar. That's the bar. Uh,
Right. Right.
Unfortunately, we lost this year, obviously in the finals. I always keep a close eye on it because as an alumni, you're still competitive with the PCL.
Oh, that it never believe me, it never goes away. I see Bonner Green still, and I'm like, I cringe a little bit.
Yeah. I'm like Newman Gritty. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yep.
It doesn't. Nope, it doesn't go away. And they're incredible.
Yeah.
6A or yeah, 6A champs last year, and then the boys they won last night, so they're playing for the 6A
Oh, they
championship.
won last night. Oh, that's
Mhm.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Look, see, and the best thing about Carroll when I was there was that the girls team was like 10x better than the boys team. So
Right.
obviously, as a
Right.
girl, that was the best thing ever. It's like being on the
Yeah.
basketball team was like being the football player. It's like, yeah, well, I
Right.
play basketball for the team. you know,
Yeah. So I guess that's like some of your kind of favorite memories from Carroll is and things that you took with you were from an athletic side, but also some of the relationships you made from playing athletics.
Yeah, absolutely. I had friends from like drama class. I had friends
Yeah.
from my French class. I have friends obviously in basketball, lacrosse. There's a lot of girls at my school who went to Division 1 Monmouth or lacrosse. So
Yeah.
it was just cool to be around a lot of different athletes, and people who are always kind of striving for more. People who go to Carroll, like I said, there's a standard there. So
Right.
being around like-minded people was helpful. Obviously a public school is a great experience too, but when you're in a private like type of setup, we
Hmm.
kind of know why we're there. We know why our parents are paying for us to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a level of dedication that's there, and that was very helpful, especially as adolescents, to be in that type of environment. So all my fun memories are like obviously playing games and playing the piano during in between classes and like
Yeah.
passing notes. I know kids text now, but we were passing notes.
Batting those, yeah.
Like
Yep.
putting them in each other's locker.
Yep.
I did the morning announcements when I was there because I went for communications. So
Oh, really? Yeah.
um, yeah, so like bombing on the morning announcements and then going to homeroom.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
trying to bounce back from that is tremendous. So uh
Yeah, right. And
yeah.
then wake it
It's
up
like
and do it
what
the
were you
next day.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then like trying to like make cool little quips and stuff, like,
Yeah.
teenage stuff, right? But when
Yep.
I think about it now, I'm like, that was a great time.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I think that's something I talk about all the time with people is that there's not really clicks, which is really interesting. It still seems
Yeah.
that way. Everyone just
hmm
kind of, for whatever reason, I still am trying to figure it out. I don't know if you could put a finger on why,
I
but
don't either.
kind of
That's what
hang
I'm
out.
saying. I had friends from all over. Like it was just
Yeah.
like we all hung out and we all went to the dances and
Yeah.
obviously you fooled around in mass when you shouldn't. Stupid
Right.
stuff.
All again, all the same stuff.
All the same stuff. Yep.
Yeah. So again, tell me what you're doing now, and I've read a little bit, but to hear it from you would be really cool because
Yeah.
again, it's remarkable.
Yeah, thank you. So right now I'm a Division 1 women's college basketball referee. I work in some of the bigger conferences, so like the Big Ten, the SEC, Big 12, Big East, all those
Yeah.
bigger conferences, which has been tremendous. More recently, I got a chance to do one of Caitlin Clark's games as she broke the NCAA record on.
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome. That was
Amazing.
like her last home game. It was packed, literally every seat was filled.
Amazing. Yeah.
Uh, and they played, went down to the wire. Just like as a basketball fan, it was really awesome to kind of be a part of it, just even a small piece, right?
Yeah.
So I've been doing that for the last 13 years. More recently, I started a company called Referee Ready Academy. And at Referee Ready, we help try to train officials to be ready for the moments that I'm doing on a
Yeah.
nightly basis, but also just giving them a place where to start, So,
Right.
Mike, if you wanted to referee, we would start
Yeah.
you with Referee Ready and
I'm not
get you
I'm not
set up
ref
with Mike.
material. Yeah.
No, you don't want to ref? Come
I'm
on.
like
I just
it's
gave you
like yeah, you're either a coach or you're a ref, and I'm a coach.
that's a
I couldn't
That's
do
a
it.
fact. That's
Yeah.
a fact. And like when I referee, I have good rapport with most of the coaches and, we joke about stuff because they're just so frustrated, and I'm like, hey, you want to switch? They're like, nah, 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 we're good.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm like, listen, I can never coach. Like, it's not in me either. Like I love young
Yeah.
adults. I love children, but they don't listen. So there's no way,
Right.
there's no way I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so with refereeing, obviously full time, and then starting Referee Ready Academy. I also recently started an investment group to invest in Cape Town Tigers, which is a team in Africa ball. The NBA started a league in Africa, and it's called BAL, but the short is ball. And they run in the spring right now. So we just had our first games in South Africa, and there'll be
Wow.
3 other tournaments, and then it ends in Kigali, Rwanda. So this is its fourth season. And so me and my business partner, we invested with them last fall, which was like really, really exciting. And it's just a cool way to kind of try to find ways to get back to the sport and help grow the sport there in South Africa, but also try to get women involved there on the continent because basketball is like third on the continent. It's like, football, which is soccer, and then
Yeah.
there's cricket, obviously, and then basketball's third. So we're trying to get it up there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the NBA has a big initiative. I know the NFL is trying to go there as well, onto the continent. So a lot of good stuff over there, but just kind of a way to try to help branch out my outreach to give back.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
again, incredible on all three sides, and that's kind of what I was saying to you earlier. You must be a little busy,
a little bit.
yeah,
A little
right,
bit.
wrapped
Yeah,
into three huge projects all the time, but
yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, no, it's incredible. And then so you'll will you be through the tournament? Do you kind of already have your assignments? Are you allowed to say where you're going for the
No,
tournament?
I'm not. I'm not.
Okay.
But just so you know how it goes a little inside scoop.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, we normally get assigned. We find out that we're in the hunt, right? The top 120 officials. 112 will be on the floor, right? So we find that out. We found that out Saturday, this past Saturday. And then we had our meeting last night about like where we're going and what to expect and the expectations of the tournament. And then after we work our first and second round, if you're able to work with your first round game, you work second round game, and then you're basically evaluated from there, Mike. So like
wow,
after the last second round game is officiated, the committee and the regional evaluators, they go through all the games and they take all of the scores and they figure out who's going to work either the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight. You work one or the other, or you sit for both, which is like the alternate. So if someone goes down, you're available for either game.
mhm,
And then once those games are done, then they figure out who are the final four officials for the semis and then for the final. So we are week to week. It's very
yeah.
it's very stressful,
I
as
was
you can
gonna say,
imagine.
yeah,
Yeah, a little nerve wracking. You just try to do what you've been doing all year and hope that that's good enough. And then as each week gets smaller, we're 112 right now, and then I think next week it's like 32, and then it gets to
yeah,
like 10, 9, all that stuff. So it gets a little smaller each time, and obviously the goal is the final four for me every year.
hmm
So hopefully in the next 2.5 weeks we can celebrate with the little text like you made it. But if not, if not, like I sat for the Big Ten
yeah,
final this year, which was awesome. I just did the Missouri Valley final on Sunday, which was awesome. So, I
yeah.
had a really, really great year and I'm grateful for everything. So we're good.
Yeah, well, best of
Yeah.
luck. I mean,
Thank you. Thanks,
I'm
Mike.
confident. I'm confident for you that you'll
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah,
I'm feeling confident too.
yeah. Um, But going back, I mean, so again, what motivated you to want to start, your own organization,
Mhm.
in Africa and get involved in that on every level, what kind of
Yeah.
motivated you to do that?
Yeah, so for me, I'm always trying to figure out, like, what's next, right? And I'm sure you
Yeah.
know this, like, you have multiple balls that you have in the air too, you're just as
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I wanna get into team ownership is the eventual goal, right?
Yeah.
So, being a women's basketball player, being involved in women's college basketball, I thought about doing the pros as a referee before, like the WNBA or the NBA, but I just realized that that was 365, right? So, my season starts now technically in October, but I do basketball all year round, but it's not as intense, right?
Yeah.
And so when I was in the process of trying to go through the D League at the time, now I'm showing my age, the D League at the time, it was a great process, but I realized, man, I have to give up my summers too. And I'm like, that's all I got. That's a little
Yeah.
bit
Right.
that's a little bit that I got.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if that's right for me. Right. And I know it's, some of the best basketball, obviously, throughout the world. And, I have a lot of colleagues and friends who currently do it. And I'm always proud of them, but I just was like, not really for me. But with that being said, I still wanted a way to still be able to be involved in the pro system.
Mhm.
And so, team ownership, I know Philadelphia is one of the last 10 spots for the WNBA.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So, just being able to see our city, be able to be a part of the WNBA would be awesome. It'd be the first time ever. And then obviously I work so closely with young athletes, being able to find a way to help them get exposure to that level. So for me, it's all about just trying to get the exposure for basketball to the highest level because I'm so passionate about it.
Mhm.
And so going the route with BAL, it was a little bit shorter barrier to entry, but it's
Right.
also a way to try to expand globally. So, this because you're baseball, sport is travels everywhere, right? So, like,
Yeah.
one of our best players in MLB is not even from here. The biggest contract's
Right.
not even from here.
100%. Yeah.
Like,
Right.
literally not
Well,
even from here.
actually, probably three of the top five. Yeah.
3, yes, 3 of the top 5, exactly.
Yeah.
So, just knowing that our pool is not just America, it's bigger than that, right? And so what better way to try to go somewhere and try to bring that talent here or help get our talent there and try to make it more cross country. And then I think some of the things that we take for granted here in the States, just access and information and how to give out information, even just how do we teach the sport, right? Like we
Right.
take just like having a basketball court outside as like an everyday thing, that's not very common in certain areas on the continent. So
Right.
providing those type of ways to do that and making those connections to find ways I can give my resources or help bring other resources to them so that the sport can really expand globally. So, it's all for me. It's all about just kind of like bringing it all together. The
Yeah.
centerpiece is basketball for me because that's what I know for sure. That's my expertise. But being able to touch on like the way that I love giving back, sharing information, my passion for women's sports, all those things, how can I just make the most out of those things? Because then it never feels like work, right? Like I feel like I'm just
100%.
living my passion every day and then being able to find a way to sustain myself in the interim. So
Well, that's the other thing. When
yeah.
you're
I
much,
mean, if you could do it for free, I would, but it's like girls gotta live.
well, I hear you. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, again, for you to get involved at that stage, and it will.
Yeah.
I'm again confidence that it'll latch on. Get into like
Hmm.
you said, Philadelphia is way
Yeah.
overdue to have a WNBA team.
Way overdue.
I mean,
Jeez.
it's
How
unbelievable.
much talent do we have here, Mike? Like it's come
Right,
on. What are we
exactly,
talking about?
exactly.
Like Nova women's team went to the freaking Sweet 16 last year.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? And like,
Yeah.
where do those ballers go when they're done? Like, I think about someone like myself. It's like I had so many friends that played really, really high level basketball, but all
Mhm.
they really have is overseas, right? Because there's just
Right,
not that many teams. So for me, it's like, how can I create ways for us to be able to keep the sport going? Like
right.
there's a life expectancy for basketball players. We know this, even for football players, baseball players. You guys are a little longer than us,
A little
but
bit longer, right? Yeah.
a little bit longer. But it's like, how can we find ways for them to maximize this potential in their late 20s, early 30s, without
Mhm.
having to go overseas? So
Right.
if you create the avenues and create the path, then it makes the generation behind you better. Then that's all I'm trying to do in the way I
Yeah.
can.
It is.
Yeah,
It's an incredible mission and something, for us, like now, and I say us, I'm speaking from the perspective of Carol, like something
yeah,
something to make us really proud. I mean, because
hmm
outside of you know, what you're doing. There's so many other, a lot, just that I've been finding out in the last 6 months, and you're reading.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap, that guy, that person went to Carroll, that girl went to Carroll, that like, this is,
Come on now.
I know it really, I mean, I should have known, but like,
You should have known, Mike. Come on.
I know I'm learning, but it's, yeah, it's really cool. So again, kind of last thing I have on here, and you touched on all
Yeah.
this, but you know, what does motivate you from
Hmm.
whether it be a philanthropic standpoint or again from a leadership
Sure.
standpoint, you know, like what
Hmm.
motivates you to help the other people that you're helping right now?
Yeah, for sure. For me, going like we just talked about, like the power of going to Carol, right? I felt
Yeah,
like, and we talked about this a little bit off screen, but just like,
right.
the expectation that was at Carol, like I really didn't understand that to magnitude. Because I worked in nonprofit for a little bit with the school districts. I was in some of the high schools and just understanding some of their culture.
Yeah,
Um, but just knowing what my high school experience was, like we were told to give back. It was our duty to give back,
yeah.
right? Like that's what God has expected of all of us, right?
Mhm.
And then just understanding that it brings me so much peace to know that someone is a little bit better just from me sharing an ear, right? Me giving a tip, right? You and I having this conversation, maybe someone watches it and they're like, oh my God, I can expand past, where I live or where I'm at, or I can travel the world, like you don't think about these things,
Yeah,
if you're not exposed to them. And,
right.
even at Carol, like I joke about French class kicking my butt, but, just
Yeah.
being able to
I
have
didn't even
that
try.
level of
At least you tried.
I
Yeah.
mean, I tried. Okay, Mike, I tried. Okay.
You're right.
But like some schools didn't even have that in high school. Maybe they had Spanish, but they didn't have French. And we had German. Like we had multiple options, right? And so, you know, that philanthropic thing was something that my family instilled on me. And then obviously, having that type of experience at Carroll at that adolescence age, which is so crucial to like right before you're an adult,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
really driving that home. That fuel inside of me is just that knowing that I made a difference in someone's life, whether big or small, whether an hour or a lifetime, is
Mhm.
enough for me because that's what I'm supposed to do. That's what we're all called to do, and if we don't do it, how did this world continue to grow? People did it for me. I'm sure people did it for you, Mike. And so, without those people, whether they were, relatives or strangers, teachers, we're all supposed to do that. And I just, try to do my part as big or small as it is and as long as I can. And hopefully it makes just a little bit of a difference. And so the next Natasha and Mike who talk in 4 years is like, hey, we got a team in Philly. Could you believe it?
Yeah,
It's
right. I
like,
know. Oh, I mean, believe me, now I'm like,
yeah.
I was interested before, now I'm really interested. So to
Yeah, 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 for sure, for sure. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's like we just created a little bit of path, and now we
yeah,
got Carol alums playing on the team. Like, how dope would that be? Like, come on.
yeah, I know. I
You know
mean,
what I'm saying? Like, it's just
wow.
like
Yeah,
it's hard to not try to reach for the stars when you know that anything is possible.
very true. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
incredible stuff.